Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So happy to have you here. It is the end of 2025 or the beginning of 2026 when you are watching this, which means it is time for my end of the year content, which is some of my favorite content to make. And we're going to get started with the 2025 non-bookish favorites. So obviously I'm going to have a whole dedicated video to just my stats from 2025, as well as my top 10, I think is what I'm going to do, favorite books from 2025. So that will be coming, do not worry. But today I wanted to talk about all things that are not book related in a sense, I guess. I have a ton of different hobbies. If you've been around for a minute, you know that. I do have several different places where I talk about video games on the internet, including my podcast, JK Games Podcast, which I co-host with my friend Jerica and Josh. And that is every Monday night. If you want to watch us live on Twitch, you can find all my links always below. And that is where what we're going to be doing in 2026 is, and we kind of started it this last year, was doing video game book club. So if you have a game that you want us to play alongside you can always recommend it in our inbox. But we pick a game, we play it together, we play it with you guys. We do new releases, we do backlog, like there's no limitations. Last year we did Tiny Bookshop, which you might hear me talk about in a minute. We did Dispatch, we did Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, we did Silent Hill F. Like, we had a ton of different games that we covered and ended up being on my list. So that happens on Monday nights. And then we also have another podcast that we're a part of called Drop In, Drop Out, which if you've been on my channel this year, you've also heard me talk about. That is on Thursday nights. And that will sometimes not include me and Jerica. It will include a host of our 7 different people that are on that show. And we kind of change in and out depending on like what the topics are and availability. And it's been really fun. I can't believe that's been almost a year that we've been doing that. So those are some places that you can find me talking about video games. But if you haven't been on those platforms, you probably haven't heard me talk about these games. So I have 5 that I'm going to mention really quickly and not go into a ton of detail because don't know when this is going up compared to this video, but you'll hear me talk about those games more in our Game of the Year episode, which I think is going to come out after this or before this, because I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll link it below if you want to hear more details. But my number 5 game of the year is Hades 2, and I have been really pleasantly surprised by this game. If you like cozy, I know this is like a book page that you're on, but I talk about games a lot, and I feel like there's a lot of overlap in the hobbies. So if you like more cozy, this is a little bit more challenging, I would say. It is a roguelike dungeon kind of crawler type game, but it follows the Greek god and goddesses. So you have Mel. So that is my number 5. I love the art style. I love the gameplay loop. It is very addictive. It is beautifully illustrated and animated, and I've had such a good time even though I'm not even anywhere close to beating it. It has really been a fun time, and I didn't actually play the first one. I know that's like very taboo, but I was told that it was okay to skip it, and it's just more of that and more fun. So Hades 2 is a good one. And then of course we have my number 4 is Tiny Bookshop, which I've talked about in here before, I think, and I did a stream, which I'll also link below on our podcast. But it was so much fun. It's a delight. It had a new update come out in like a few weeks ago, I think. But unfortunately, when I got my new PC, my save file didn't transfer over, so I'm going to have to start over, which is really sad. But it features real books, so if you love books, you love recommending books to people, this is a really good game to play. It's so much fun. And my number 3 is Dispatch, which is a Telltale type Choices Matter superhero game where you play as a superhero dispatcher, and the gameplay loop in that one's super fun. I love a Choices Matter game and a multiple ending type game. It's a pretty short experience, and it was fun to play it episodically as it came out. But obviously you can play it all together now. But there was like one hour episode that released a week, so that was super cool. My number 2 is Silent Hill F, which was my first ever Silent Hill game. And I know this is like a long-standing series that a lot of people are fans of, but I had just never picked it up. I love horror, so if you like horror books, you probably would like this game. Specifically, one that I recommended based off of this game would be The Library at Hellbore or Nothing But Blackened Teeth. Those are 2 novellas that I think really fit that theme and have some like direct representation of Silent Hill in them. Very interesting. And, oh, I forgot to mention for Tiny Bookshop, I would say the book that represents that game is The Treasure Hunters Club, which I got to read this year with Books and Lala and her audience, which was really fun. But I would definitely directly compare those two. And for Dispatch, I would compare, actually just put this in my most recent post, which if you don't follow me on Instagram, I would love if you could do that. That's where I do a lot of my like book and game crossover stuff. I would compare that one to A Magical Girl Retires. So yeah. My number one game of the year is Expedition 33 or Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This game just absolutely blew me away with its narrative, its art direction, its music. Like, I know it's won so many different awards this year, but to me, it is hyped for a very good reason. And while it's not something that like I would have said that I gravitated towards, because it is turn-based combat, which I don't normally find very engaging. However, I do think that this one has elements to it that make it more user-friendly. And yeah, it's just really fun. I think the story is one of the best stories in the past. Like, I mean, it solidified itself as one of my favorite games of all time. And I could go on and on talking about it, but I'm sure I also will in the linked video from my podcast. So that is my top 5 games of the year. I wanted to start there for my non-book favorites. And then I think next we're going to talk about music, I think. And I'm going to do a prop for this one. So I don't always listen to a lot of music because majority of the time, if I'm in the car, I am listening to an audiobook and not music. But Taylor Swift did have a new album come out this year, The Life of a Showgirl. And while it's not like my top favorite album of hers, it is still super good. And so that was on repeat the most for me this year. And it was in my like, I'll put some screenshots of like my Apple Music Wrapped. I'm not a Spotify girly, but Apple Music does like a version of Spotify Wrapped. And yeah, I love this album. It was on my list as one of the most played, and it's just a fun time. It's just vibes. Alrighty, and next we have Sleep Token's new album, Even on Arcadia, that came out this year. I am obsessed. I really wasn't super into Sleep Token before this album, but something about this like literally had drugs in it for me. Like, it is so good. I think my favorites, if I had to pick, are Gethsemane, Dangerous, and Past Self, I think are my favorite songs. But big Sleep Token fan after this album. I don't think all of their stuff hits for me, but they have such different sound over their albums. Like, you could listen to one song and it be completely different than another song. Also, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this. This is like 2025 release things, not just like so far, not like things I've listened to or played in 2025 that weren't released this year, but like actual releases from this year. Okay, next we had 2 new albums come out from one of my all-time favorite bands, Mayday Parade. They had a like double album release, one album called Sad and one called Sweet. And then I think my favorite song off Sweet is By the Way, and then my favorite song off Sad is Under My Sweater. Alrighty, that is all for music. Next we're going to talk about movies. I had a bunch of great movie releases this year that I saw. I'm not normally like a watch the movie the year it comes out, like I'm a like catch it on streaming services kind of girl typically. But funny enough, 3 of these movies are superhero movies, which is really funny. I guess this is just the year for superhero movies. But Superman, I absolutely loved this year. I think David Cornsweet is such a good actor. I think he did an amazing job portraying Superman. Me and my husband are both big superhero fans just in general, so we loved seeing that. And I think it has a really good message. I think the like style of the movie is really good. Then we have Fantastic Four. I'm a huge Pedro Pascal fan, and I also love the Fantastic Four, like the original like early 2000s movies. So I really liked this one. It was a little long, not gonna lie, but I still really enjoyed it. As well as K-pop Demon Hunters took over my life for a period there. It is such a beautiful movie. Like, the animation is so good, and I would recommend that to literally everyone. Also, I forgot to mention that in the music soundtrack, but that soundtrack has been on repeat in our house too, so I have to have a special shout out to that one. And also Thunderbolts, which I think I have talked about already on here. It has great In my opinion, it has fantastic mental health representation in that movie, and you guys know that's something I'm very passionate about. So those are all the movies that I loved this year. Don't really have any TV to talk about. I mostly watch the same like kind of trash TV. I love reality TV. Below Deck is something that me and my husband were super into this year. Down Under and Mediterranean. It's so entertaining. I can't help it. We are currently watching Fallout, the second season, which is really good so far. It is quite gory, so if that's not something that you're into, then don't watch it, but it's really good. Okay, I have like 2 skincare mentions. I wanted to talk about the Grace and Stella eye mask, which I know these are like popular, I think. Like, I think a lot of people use these. I've seen them on like TikTok and stuff, but I had never tried them before this year, and now I'm obsessed with them. I use them literally every morning. I put them in my fridge, which is like life hack if you want like cooling, depuffing under eye mask, but I love these. They are like $20 for a pack of, I think, 24, so well worth like $1 a piece. Next skincare item, I know this is like a little bit more on the expensive side and not normally something I would recommend because I usually try to find dupes, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but I am obsessed with the Glow Recipe Glow Tonic. Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow PHA Pore Tight Toner. I think this gives you the most glowy, like nice finish on your skin. I use this in the morning actually. I do moisturizer in this in the morning. I try to like not make my skincare super complicated because I feel like if I do, I'll be less likely to actually do it. Which I know is sad, but it's true. And yeah, I just love this stuff. This is like the mini size. They make like a big one, but this has lasted me like almost all year. So I think this was like $16, I think. And rounding out our favorites today with some makeup finds from this year. This foundation from Haus Labs is the perfect full coverage foundation in my opinion. I don't have this on today. I should have worn it today, but I didn't want something super full coverage. This is in the color 110 Light Neutral. And I tried out a sample of this first because it is a little bit more expensive. It's not like super high end, but it's like in that middle range. I think this is like $35, but this is worth it. And that's why I'm like, I usually am very hesitant to share like more expensive makeup recommendations because I do think you can get the same effect with drugstore makeup, but I find myself reaching for this one a lot when I need my makeup to last like all day and look like smooth. And yeah, it has a really nice, it's got a pump, it's a glass bottle, and this has lasted me, I feel like I barely have to use any to cover my whole face, so would 100% recommend this foundation. And then speaking of dupes, I have been freaking obsessed with the e.l.f. liquid blushes. I have a bunch of colors, as you can see, and some of these look crazy, like this one's super bright, and so is this one. But what I love about these is that you can really diffuse them to be like not super bright. Ooh, maybe I will swatch them for you guys. Giving old school YouTube. This is that one, which is Lilac. This is Coral Crush. Look at how bright that is. This one is Suave Mauve. And then this one is Peach Perfect. But yeah, look how beautiful they all are. Like, I feel like they're so pigmented and they diffuse into the skin like super well. And I think they're like better than the Rare Beauty ones, which I do like those. But I think these are better for like $6 to $8, I think is what they are. And then my last makeup recommendation and my favorite of 2025 is the Essence Jelly Grip Primer. This one is, I would compare it to the Milk Makeup Power Grip Primer. I forget what exactly it's called, but I love this primer. I think it is incredible and it makes your makeup last so long. And this is literally, I think like $5, I believe. And I try to always, like most of my skincare products, I really always make an effort to be cruelty free. I believe all of these are. I'm not super well educated around like parent companies and those sorts of practices. I'm still working on learning more about that. But for the most part, these are all certified cruelty free from my understanding. And yeah, I know that's like a lot of stuff I just talked about, but hopefully it wasn't too long. And keep an eye out or there are videos up on my channel of my favorite books of 2025, and I'll see you next time. Bye!